The voter apathy debate, which remember that INEC commissioned the report about voter apathy and the 2011 general elections, and of course when the eventual result of that research came, well, some would not have it because they perhaps had an expectation of maybe the key ingredients or causative factors, if you will, about voter apathy, but alas, when it was presented, they felt no way. You couldn't be telling me poverty is the major cause of voter apathy when we all know that the reason why you commissioned it in the first place was because people were not just coming out. And then you say it's poverty, they questioned it. But again, it just remains to be seen. Who knows? I mean, if they presented it based on facts and figures and based on certain methodology which was used in the research, what exactly are we supposed to question? The research itself, the methodology, or the findings now? Well, there were two professors, actually, who talked about that matter. And guys, it was interesting, their perspective on this matter. But then we also, Mike is on standby, right? Yeah.
Well, anyway, the way it is, Chamberlain, you can as well say it is poverty. And you can also say it is because, you know, this kind of attitude, because you don't get to see things done. If you've always gone out to cast your vote and you expect to see some kind of changes and it's still the same or sometimes someone in a new garb or in a new name, all in the name of political party, but you get the same treatment which is not too good for you, you just wait and just shrug your shoulders and say, hey, what's the difference? Even though people will tell you that if you don't go to vote, the bad guy will continue, he still doesn't make a difference, because when you vote, the bad guy is there, you don't vote, the bad guy is there, so let the bad guy continue. So until we get to change all of that, remember that time we started talking about let your vote count, irrespective of what you want.
Yeah.
If we don't get to that stage in our life as a nation, then the voter apathy will continue and continue to rise until it gets to a point we don't even get to see people on the queue. And that's it.
Well, there is a report which was put together, of course, about that report, which is commissioned by INEC. So we'll bring it to you and just look carefully while you read between the lines in this report. And of course, we always take it from there.
Criticizing the 70-page report commissioned by the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Aborishade listed shortcomings of the research findings earlier presented by lead researcher Professor Adigun Agbaje.
If we assume that apathy can be measured by voter intention, the conclusion we can draw from the presentation of the lead researcher and the research report is that voter apathy is low in Nigeria, or almost non-existent. But we all know that this does not conform to reality, to our experiences, because it was because of our experiences that they were actually commissioned to look into it.
I'm convinced that this is as scientific as we can get. We have infrastructure challenges, so that, for instance, the kind of data that INEC should have given us, because they are supposed to be with INEC, that we could not get, there was nothing we could do about it.
In the survey conducted across 12 randomly selected states and 6 geopolitical zones, 73% of the respondents adduced violence and inadequate security as major reasons behind voter apathy during the 2011 general elections. INEC, through this research report, seeks to entrench democratic stability by reducing voter apathy and ensuring good governance. But the reviewer stamped his own observations on INEC's inaction over the incessant political parties in the country.
Section 86 empowers INEC to monitor and keep records of activities of political parties. So INEC is in a position to stop these practices that may be contributing to voter apathy.
Election is a multidimensional kind of activity, and in all facets, people want to be sure that they have a say. But now the big buyers, the big giant, they bought virtually all the political parties. How do we ensure that we get back to where we were coming from?
According to INEC, addressing the issues associated with voter apathy in Nigeria may go beyond apportioning blames, but ensuring laid out policies and interventions that would tackle the growing phenomenon ahead of the 2015 general elections.
All right, then. Thank you, Gloria. But let me just also highlight some of these facts, because in that same research finding, the lead researcher, Ms. Agbaji, also did point out that it was a sample size of about 1,200 respondents randomly selected across 12 states, as you heard in the report. But he says 49.4% of respondents believe that their votes do not count in Nigeria. 28.7% were discouraged by unfulfilled promises by politicians, and 14% believe that there is corruption in the system, while 7.9% see violence as an obstacle. Well, Mike Igini joins us on the line now. Morning, Mike. I mean, this, of course, you all might have digested this, but in the light of the response from some others who were also present there, saying they do not actually agree with some of the findings there, is INEC thinking differently about this?
And so, largely the issue of perception, and as you know very well, perception is selective. Two, you also find out the carry-over mentality, the period or era where, obviously and admittedly, where the umpire before the coming in of the Jaja team have largely been trained as an umpire that have not lived up to expectations. And so, people believe, like you, from the sample you gave, the fact that their vote would not count, those were largely issues before 2011 elections. As from 2011, the last year's election, there have been a remarkable departure from that era. Then specifically talking about voters' apathy, we all know that no essence of embrace of democracy is that it should bring about participation and accountability in the process of human development. But what we are witnessing now is we are losing participation. And so when we are losing participation, that becomes a deficit in our democratic process. Now, what are the factors that are responsible for this, and who is starting with the responsibility of ensuring that people participate in the election? First, voters' education is a multi-stakeholder responsibility. First, as a commission, under Part 1 of the Electoral Act, Section 2, Sub A and B, you will find that INEC has a primary duty to educate Nigerians on sound knowledge of democracy and democratic processes. Beyond that, you also find that under Section 221 of the Constitution of the Fatherland, the political parties, they consider the essential organs of democratic practice. That is to say, they are the ones, the constitution says, that should canvass for vote for their candidates in respect of their party. So the question is, the kinds of campaigns you witness, particularly for instance, before 2007, where campaigns were now became arena for abuses and all that. So the excitement that is required, and look at what's going on in the United States, in other countries of the world. Election period is a period of renewal of the nation, renewal of people, renewal of politics. So, in terms of engagement, you find out that the political parties, they are not engaging the electorate enough.
Okay, but let me come back to the functions of the commission. That's INEC here. But if you could turn down the volume of your TV set, perhaps it might help the howl back a little bit. But there are those who also say that in terms of the voter education responsibility or function of INEC, they think that INEC has actually fallen short. In notices of election, they say they don't see letting them know what should be when it is doesn't actually happen.
Tribunal in our country. I was part of those who conducted elections in Anambra State, talking about voters' apathy. I want to let you know that what happened in Anambra was not because of issue about violence or because the vote did not count. Now, what happened in Anambra State is a different thing altogether, because we recorded the lowest ever in the last few years of government operation in our country. Out of 400 and 756,000 voters, you find out that the total votes at the end of the day turnout was 15%. Only 15% of the total registered voters, because the party of the PDP score for the 2,804, the other one scored 40,678. In effect, PDP scored 7.8% and ABGA 7.4%. What a dismal voter turnout. So I think that the issue of voter turnout is a very serious issue, and for the Commission, as some of you may have read lately, we are taking that very seriously. Just a week ago, the Commission in all the seasons of the Federation, we are taking the voters apathy to the level of secondary schools, and we are doing that so that we can engage them. But I think that, frankly speaking, that the political parties, they have a very strong responsibility in this direction.
Was it enough for this report to just list the problems or the causes of voter apathy? Because one of the strongest criticisms for the report is that it does not bring up any practical solutions.
Mark, I'm very sorry, I couldn't get that question, so I'm sorry, come again, please.
Well, is it enough for this report to just bring up the causative factors of voter apathy? Some people say, I mean, one of the strongest criticisms on the report is that it does not give any practical solutions to solving voter apathy.
Yes, solving voter apathy will come in various ways. First, we believe that the recruitment process in Nigeria must be looked into seriously. Who are the kind of people who are involved in politics? Because most of the people are not excited to Nigerian people. Who are the kind of people?
Sorry, Mr. Igini, I'm not asking, what the resolutions will be or the solutions to voter apathy will be. I'm saying that, is that what you can glean from this particular report, or is that what the report says?
No, Mark, what I'm saying specifically is this, that people, Nigerians, first and foremost, they are not also excited with the kind of people that come out to conduct the election. Because apathy means we want to see the interest. We want the interest of Nigerian people. We want them to be involved. The question is, who are the people coming out to conduct or to contest election? That is very important. What is the level of debate that is going on? We don't have debate. Our politics lack intellectualism. We want a system that is based on issues. As I speak to you, South Korea, they just finished election. And in South Korea, for you to be involved in any election in that country, you must be ready for debate, even at the level of the legislature. They conducted their debate, what we call the policy debate of National Assembly elections. So the moment you bring people who are going to engage Nigerian people on issues that matter to them, they will be ready to come out and vote. Two, you also will note that because before the 2011 elections, most of our final decision of who people have voted for were not determined at the tribunal. People were no longer happy because the excitement, unlike you find in Ghana, in other parts of the world, where on the day of election, you go to the poll with excitement that, oh, you are going to go for Mr. A or Party A or B. And that within 7 hours, you will know the person that you have voted for on the party. In Nigeria, and which is where we are making at least progress right now, is that even when people go out on the election day, it may take another 1 year or 2 years, like we recorded in another state that took 3 years. So there's a kind of disconnect. People are not happy with that kind of process. And that is why the GAP-led commission is working so hard to ensure that the vote of the people, given, sorted, counted at the polling unit, should be the final translation so that truly we should end the business of election tribunal in Nigeria. Those election tribunals, we should do away with them. They are no longer exciting at all. So our apathy you are seeing right now is not unconnected with the fact that the final determination of who has become the winner were no longer done by the commission anymore, but right now done by the court or tribunal. which has become a racket center. I call them racket center. We maintain election constitutional tribunal in Nigeria. So for us, in terms of procedure, we want to make our procedure more voter friendly. Our procedure for voting must be voter friendly. We want to do that, and that's what we are doing right now, by way of abridging the process, interrogating the process more and more, so that in future elections, Nigeria will come out, have their vote counted, taken into account, and now finally and conclusively at the last election center.
Well, basically, is it about the attitude of the voters or the, should I say, the regulatory body? Now we're talking about INEC. When you talk about racket center, how can we reduce all of those, well, tribunal racketeering, as you want to call them, if we want to get it right in our next election?
Yes, you see, Suleiman, the point I want you to understand is that it starts with interest, the people's interest, the electorate's interest. And who are those who we simulate this interest? We are saying that it is multi-stakeholders. First, INEC as a commission, we must continue as we have been doing under the direction of the GAT to ensure that we win the confidence of the people. Let people believe in you first, that their votes, when they come out, will be counted and taken into account. And I want to say, with every sense of responsibility, that we have been doing that very well, even though we are not yet there fully at the moment. That is quite encouraging. Two, the political parties, they are the ones that have political programs that they must sell to the Nigerian people, on the basis of which they will elicit interest and participation from them. And so, if they are not engaging, if they are not doing what they're supposed to do, obviously, there will be issue of apathy. Three, you also find out that, look, I am an honorable man from Delta, so we have a saying that it is what they ask just for the farmer that makes it put it on the shoulder. The Nigerian people are also saying, from the interaction we have had, is that they have not really benefited from the democratic process as they expected. And so when you call on them, like the farmer who says he carried the axe on the shoulder because of what he done for him, they are to a larger extent not interested. And once of all, elites are the problem in our country. The elite, they don't vote. They would rather stew on to silence on the day of election and be watching Suleiman Chamberlain doing all the analysis. They won't go and vote. It is the ordinary people that will continue to vote. And that is why we are saying that the ordinary people must continue to focus on them. Because the future of our democracy will seem to lie on their own degree of participation. So it is a multi-stakeholder responsibility to get to a level. Don't forget that in 2001, the British Electoral Commission had a similar situation where there was a high level of low turnout in Britain. And that led to a serious interrogation by the British Electoral Commission as to what led to the level of apathy. And they came to the conclusion that beyond the fact that Britons were also not happy over the fact that the government then could not have done more, they also realized that the process of voting in Britain itself should also be reviewed, looked into, so that to also elicit the interest of Britons. And so for us, we are doing that. And I can tell you right away that in days ahead, in months ahead, before 2015, you are going to see a more profound process that will indeed encourage Nigerians to come out. Because what we will find is somewhere to be clear to everybody that indeed, if you have no business in being in leadership, if you have no business in being in government, through the electoral process, indeed, those Egyptians, the biblical Egyptians we don't want to see, we may not see them anymore.